That said, I want to point out, even though you sometimes think I'm way off, I'm way wrong, like many years ago I had several young people on here talking about legalizing marijuana. And at that time it was absolutely illegal in every state of the 50 states of these United States that combined to create the entity, the de jure United States. And my reasoning was based on this. We are creatures of God. We are men and women with God-ordained rights, not government-ordained rights. And if you actually read beyond the preamble, beyond we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, well, if they're forming a more perfect union, are they creating a whole new government or just making the old government more perfect? That's something philosophers debate on. But if you read through it, it says the government shall not abridge the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, you shall not abridge your Second Amendment rights, you'll have to get a warrant. All these rights are to tell the government what you can't do, not to tell we the people what we must do. It's to tell the government what they can't do. And these founders, 203, 4 decades ago, they had good experience with abusive government. These things weren't just dreamt up over some smoking some marijuana or blowing some pipe. What was that stuff George Washington used to bring in? It wasn't called pot. They put in their snuff, put up their nose, some kind of heroin or something. I forget what exactly it was. Not the strong stuff we have today, but they were doing that. They didn't dream this up because they were high on something. They had hard experience. And you know that part where the government shall not quarter troops in your home? Well, they had experience with the British officers coming over. Well, we're going to search your home. Well, now we're going to put 3 soldiers to bed down here and eat your food. You feed our soldiers. They had experience with this. What is the government doing today? They send CPS officers in to check your home, look through everything. They may not even have a warrant. They just barge in. This is what the Constitution was meant to prevent. But a bar-carded club, a bar association, which is nothing but a gang of criminals, in my opinion, with a very few rare exceptions, like Tom Mesereau, Susan Yu, Michael Mins in Houston, Texas, a very, very slim few that work within the system, but deep down in their heart, they know it's a crooked system or they'd be out of work. They're constantly fighting the corruption that's done with prosecutors like Snake Sneddon, whose friends called Mad Dog. $20 million of Santa Barbara's money wasted when Sneddon knew before he started the prosecution that Michael was innocent. I think the Quades are completely innocent. At worst, at the very worst case, they were duped and they went to the home they believed was still theirs. Because, allegedly, according to what one of the Quades told me, Bruce Berman had told him, oh, you still have that house. I didn't even take the utilities out of your name. So they went up there believing, they still own this house. And they started cleaning it up because it had been left go. And then they get arrested. And then they're released on their own recognizance. At least Randy was. But this stuff about, bail bond, they didn't show up, that's already been fought in court, and the bail bond people got all their money back. They didn't lose anything because it was bogus. That's my opinion. Anyway, I want to take you back to a libertarian convention in 2002. And you're going to hear these people. T-Bar McCann is one of the big eggheads of political thought then and even today, I believe. He's there. I invited, we actually had a debate between a Democrat, a Republican, Libertarian, and natural law candidate for governor. But beyond that, they start to discuss the legalization of marijuana. The only reason I point out this is because now it is decriminalized for adults in California. Well, this was back in 2002, and I'm telling you, I was way ahead of the curve. Way ahead of the curve. My point is, if we ever get a real thorough investigation on what happened to Randy Quaid, you're going to find out he was innocent, the warrant was bogus, and it was part of the plot. So then you got to ask yourself a question. Yeah, we're going to get to the 2002. It takes place at the Santa Maria Inn on South Broadway. But before I get that, you got to ask yourself a question. Why would the sheriff, not just the current sheriff, Bill Brown, but his predecessor, keep a bogus warrant out? Why would the DA keep a bogus warrant out? The sheriff's elected directly by we, the people. He could say, I am quashing this. DA, sue the sheriff's department and show us the probable cause. Show us the evidence. I went down to the sheriff and said, I want to see this evidence. No, we can't show it to you. You got to talk to the DA. So I called 3 DAs and said, let's talk. 3 DAs failed to call me back. All I'm saying is show me the probable cause. You wouldn't show the judge in Canada. You wouldn't show the judge in Vermont or Indiana or any other place. Show me that probable cause. What's the probable cause? Because the Quaids had some of their personal belongings in a house they believe they still owned? Or did the people that buy it do a conversion of their personal property? Then maybe the current occupants need to be arrested for conversion of personal property. Ill-begotten. A lot of questions. I've got it. I'd just like to see Joyce Dudley woman up, come over, sit right here, Joyce. I'm going to move over. I'm going to move over. Room for you right here, Joyce. And let's have a discussion. You supposedly represent the people. Here's a chance to put your best foot forward and explain us how you allow this bogus warrant to continue. Okay, let's go look at the waterfalls and the Santa Maria Inn in 2002 and listen to the discussion. I'm William Wagener, hoping you'll catch on to what's going on here.
Your mic is off.
Does the sound good?
Sound is good.
So, there's some fruitcake in the green room, you guys, if you want some fruitcake.
We're streaming live at the moment. I'll shut it off.
We're streaming what live?
You.
Oh, we were?
Yep.
Live to where?
The
YouTube.
Ah, shoot. Stop.